What is your reaction like, I mean, with the influence of the religious authorities, the Sanhedrin, rabbinic courts in Israel? What sort of relationship does your ministry have then with law enforcement? I mean, do you ever have any trouble when you go out and witness?
Well, you know, one thing about Israel is it's not illegal to preach the gospel. There's no law against it. You can't go to a restaurant and preach unless you have permission from the restaurant owner. But every place that's public and is before 11 p.m. at night, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But once again, the problem is not the government. The problem is not the law. The problem is the Sanhedrin. And the Sanhedrin are over the government. Our persecution comes from them and not from the law. The law is supposed to protect us, but unfortunately they don't really protect us. They protect them. Many times there's been a lot of riots. The police come and somehow the Sanhedrin just convince them that we're wrong and they're always right. But that's just the way it is. We have a lot of persecution, dangerous persecution in Israel. I mentioned that it's not a good idea to go with a cross. And I remember what we do usually, if we have groups coming in, we bring Israelis with us. We bring, let's say, some people from the States or other places that want to go out and witness. We do a little class. Okay, this is what we recommend to do. You pray. And we recommend not to take an Old Testament and not to provoke them with a cross. Not take a New Testament, sorry. And not to take a cross. And of course they listened. But there was one time we went to the Orthodox city of Bnei Brak, which is all Orthodox over there, all black clothes, everything. They don't have television. It's kind of like the 100 Gates in Jerusalem. And we went there with 4 believers and 2 women believers and my wife. And one of the evangelists, Michael, he forgot that in his Bible there was a cross. Mm. He forgot in his Old Testament. And we were doing evangelism. We were having a wonderful time sharing about 3 hours. And then one time they caught the cross. And before we knew it, it was 10 minutes. We had 15 Orthodox Jews, big men, surrounding us like a pack of wolves, screaming at us. We got a video on a few minutes on YouTube of it. My wife was able to get some footage of it, screaming at us. And it was just like what Paul was going through, what Yeshua was going through. You could see the rage. You could see the anger that they had. And we ended up having 5 policemen on motorcycles. Here we have, the law did get us out, escorting us out of the city. They managed to get 300-400 Orthodox Jews behind us, screaming at us. And these motorcycles are escorting us out. And I'll tell you, they broke our guitar, they broke my telephone, they ripped my Bible, they kicked me, they beat up one of the girls. It was really, really dangerous. So there is a lot of persecution here in Israel, just like there was in the time of Jesus. Nothing's changed. But once again, I'm not saying that it was anybody's fault, but I am saying when you do witnessing and they see that cross, it's not a good idea. It provokes them. It can cause a riot. And I think that's important for the Christians to realize that. So to answer your question, we're having a lot of persecution in Israel, but as sin escalates to a new level, so does the gospel. We're also seeing a lot of salvations. And I think that's why the persecution is coming.
The Satanists wanted to install their own tribute, a pagan idol, on the Capitol grounds, right next to the 10 Commandments.
Billions around the planet are witnessing a world in the grasp of sadistic spiritual darkness. This unholy alliance has infected our governments, our religious institutions, and our societies. The world appears to be unraveling. But can the evil behind these dark supernatural forces be defeated? Is everything playing out just as the Bible predicted it will in the final days? At last, you can know the answers to mankind's most urgent questions and learn your destiny among today's events in the new, unprecedented work taking the prophecy world by storm. Gods and Thrones, Nakash, Forgotten Prophecy and the Return of the Elohim by best-selling author, former decorated law enforcement officer, and senior pastor Carl Gallups. This changes everything. Available now wherever fine books are sold.